This video is rated 15A. It contains moderate swearing. Airplane 2 is the worst film ever made, and nothing will change my opinion. Like, this film makes Food Fight look like The Godfather. And yes, I do stand correctly by the opinion that Airplane 2 is a god-awful piece of shit that no one should ever see. The fact that this movie even exists bothers me. The first movie is basically one of the best comedy movies ever made. It has memorable characters, hilarious comedy, and just, it's an all-around great film. I used to hate it, but I didn't know why. But now I love it. It's honestly one of the best spoof films ever made. Can't say the same for the second one, though. Now, I got this film alongside the first movie in this two-parter collection. And while I did watch the first film, the second one I just avoided. And I did watch it a few years ago. However, that was probably one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my entire life. Like, no joke. This movie is so bad and so god off, it makes me want to punt it across a 10 billion foot football field. A football field that basically never ends. Like, the fact that this movie even, exists gets me mad. Because the first film did not need a sequel. It was fine on its own. But because it made so much money at the box office, Paramount decided that the film needed a sequel. But the directors didn't want a sequel. But Paramount wanted a sequel, but the directors didn't. So you know what the directors did? They left and brought Leslie Nielsen with them in order to make an actual good TV show that will spin off into an actual good trilogy of movies. But Paramount was so destined to make a sequel that they just got a new director entirely, got new cast members and, got returning old ones, but a lot more new ones, and gave it a higher budget than the original. But what made the first film better than the second in every single way is that it actually had comedy. I laughed really hard at the first film. Not because it was bad, because it actually had good comedy. All this film has is more dead people, and that's it. The fact that they could stoop to such a low with the comedy and how offensive it is to the original characters makes me want to do the same thing as last time I'm punting across a 10 billion foot football field. Yeah, I said that before, but that comes to the next film problem. It's too much like the original. I mean, yeah, you can have your films to be similar to the original, but having the exact same comedy and everything, it's just not tradition. It had all the same jokes as the original, and I didn't laugh at any of them. In fact, I was so bored that I was actually going to take the film out of the DVD player and then throw it in the bin. But the thing that really drove my anger to the max and hate to number 10 for this movie was the shaving scene. Now, I'm not going to show it because it's that bad, but it's also so bloody and violent and graphic for a comedy movie that it scarred me for life. Holy shit. The shaving scene from this movie is so fucking horrible. That's honestly the absolute worst movie scene in film history. In fact, everything about this movie is offensive to me. The comedy is awful. The story is horrendous. The characters are stupid, brain dead, and that's pretty much it. And the only thing from this movie that's keeping it from getting a big fat 0 is William Shatner. He is very funny in this, and I did laugh a lot of times while watching him. But apart from that, this is what I consider to be the absolute worst film ever made and should not be viewed by anybody. It is a disgrace to the film industry and the lowest point in film. How could any human being ever accept this? It should have bombed. It should have just been an absolute chaotic disaster of a film. And it's not even one of those so bad it's good movies where you can laugh at how bad it is. It's just bad. So I give this film a very low 0.5 out of 10. Again, William Shatner is the only good part of this movie. But apart from that, this movie is awful. Never watch this movie if you ever get it. But if you do buy it, or you suddenly decide to not follow my instructions and actually watch the film, good luck. You'll be horrified by what you see.